CSS. Let's link relation is equal to style sheet, and href is equal to fx.css. So fx.css, and you can see, so that is working fine. That is working fine. So I want to apply the effects. I need to configure and define the effects and specify the effects. So technically, how you can manage that, how you can configure and define the effects. So always go to this file and make some changes into this. For example, I am declaring a variable. So declaring a variable pad, and here I am writing so some option. In that I will define as, suppose its value, suppose 20 pixel, so 20 pixel, or suppose I say shadow. Generally for shadow we have like 2 pixel, 3 pixel, 4 pixel, and dark cyan. So like this we are using some option shadow. Now I want to apply these all this for the container. I want to apply for this to the container, or you can simply see here container, just container. Generally, then what we do here is we are defining here. So simply box shadow. In this box shadow, we can access the dollar shadow. That's it. That means, and remember, after doing this, you cannot see that effect here. Why? Because after doing every modification, you need to compile again. Understood? You need to compile again and again. After doing every modification, you have to compile again. Understood? So that means it will not update automatically. So you have to compile again. So SAS effects.scss and CSS. Generally in real world, what we do is after writing all the effects, then finally we compile. We will not compile every time, right? So we will write all the effects, then finally we compile, and any changes we make later, then we can compile and hit enter. This is updated into CSS. Then that effect is applied. You can see the shadow is working fine. Shadow is working fine. So technically it is easy. Technically it is easy to define and configure that here. So this is the basic. This is the basic. So how you can declare a variable, how you can configure the variable, and how we can access the variable. So that is actually when you are defining the effects. So when you are configuring and defining the effects, when you are writing the SAS can be written in a nested way, So that makes your SAS functionality more easy and more better in appearances and all these options. So I will show you means how we can configure that and define this. For example, see, suppose I want to apply, so in the container, so you see this is the container. This is container. In that we have a heading and paragraph. Suppose I have another div. And in this div also we have a heading. Suppose I given as SAS preprocessor. So preprocessor. So like this SAS preprocessor, and some paragraph is there. So suppose welcome to SAS. So something like this I define. Now important, here we have two options. Now I want to apply some border for heading. I want to apply some border for heading, which is present inside the container. Inside the container, I want to apply border for heading. Generally, when you write in CSS, so how to write that it should work for container? So you have to write container. In the container, so in the container for heading, I want to apply. Then container space heading. Am I right? What do you say? That is how we have to write now. So I cannot write directly heading. If I write directly heading, it will apply to all headings. It will apply to all headings. What does this means? This means in the container, wherever heading is there, there we have to apply the effects. Now, when you are configuring effects in SCSS, you observe carefully here. In SCSS, we have some variables declared at the top. This is the container. Now, inside this container, so directly what you can do is, you can write in the same way how they are arranged in HTML. That means inside the container, we have heading. That means you can write directly heading inside container. Now inside container heading, for heading, I want to apply, so padding. I want to apply padding as 30 pixel. And for this heading, I want to apply border. The border, I want to apply the same border we have for the outline container. The same border will be applied for heading also. Now inside this container, we have a paragraph. For paragraph, we want to put the option, so text align, we will keep center, paragraph. And for paragraph, we want to apply some shadow. That means here we will see box shadow. We will get it from shadow. That is how we are defining. That means you can write your CSS structure in the same way how they are present inside HTML page. That means hierarchy. So you don't need to use much of CSS selectors like descendant selector, child selectors. You can directly write them inside it directly like this. In HTML, we have container. In container, we have heading. In CSS also directly you can write like that. If you write like this, observe carefully when you write like this. So, but remember, CSS directly cannot understand this kind of structure. So, but when you compile this, it is compiled into CSS. After compiling CSS, observe the CSS code. In the CSS code, you see container and container heading, and you can see container paragraph. Understood? Finally, it has changed into these styles. Generally, we have to write like this. We have to write for container, after that container heading, after that container paragraph. But we are writing all these in a single block now. That means we have a container. In that container, we have heading. In that, we have paragraph. Inside heading, inside paragraph, if you have anything else, you can write for that. That means, for example, you can see now, it will apply those effects for them and display. So for example, for container also, I will just give padding. So for the container also,